Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? Welcome to you if you haven't been here before. This is Ken at 10. We go live every morning at 10 a.m. without fail, every weekday, and talk about the UK property market. It's James Alexander Estate Agents. We're based in Norbury, which is in southwest London, between Streatham to the north, Croydon to the south. And we love talking about property. We love selling it. We love renting it. We love predicting what's going on in the marketplace and telling you what we think of the latest property headlines. How are you? Here in Norbury, it's kind of overcast, but not too cold. A little bit warmer, which is encouraging. And it's an exciting time of year for us because, spring is a great time. We're getting lots of people come around now for valuations, and that's a good thing. And on top of that, we're getting lots of new instructions coming through too, which are quite exciting. And, a really lovely one recently, we had one where it needed a bit of work and they needed some tips. So we gave them some hints, tips and tricks on one of our blogs, actually, in order to try and make it more appealing. And wow, the transformation is incredible. The only thing I wish was when I went around there originally, I'd taken some photographs so I could show you what the lady's done, because gosh, did she do some work to that house. And it is absolutely, the results are absolutely incredible. So yeah, and well worth doing that in some cases. She really did make a difference. Really proud of what she achieved, and it will help in the final price that's achieved for that property. So let's talk about the property headlines, what's going on. And while I do so, I'm going to run this across the bottom of the screen, because if you haven't already, I think you should be donating. There you go. For our Ukrainian friends. I spoke to my niece, who is in the charity sector, and said, where would you give your money if you wanted to donate to the people of Ukraine? And she said that Red Cross Ukraine Crisis Appeal, that money has to go directly to the people, not for admin, not for anything else. This goes directly to the crisis. So that's where you want to go. Just look for that URL, copy it down. It's going to be scrolling across the screen as long as I'm broadcasting today, and actually for as long as I'm broadcasting for a long time, as far as I can see, because I can only see this crisis getting worse the way things are. It's absolutely shocking and awful, and I think the people of Ukraine deserve all of our support and more. So let's get into some property headlines. Friday, I love Friday. Smile, it's Friday. Sit behind me there. Look, there's that. Yay! It's why? Well, Friday's a really important day in property. It's the day when we get people out for the weekend, and the weekend's really important because it's the day most families go out and look for their new home. And it's the day that we're showing most of their homes as well, because it's the most practical day. People are off work. It's the daytime. They can get out with the family, get an opinion from the wife, perhaps the children as well, and get a real feel for what's out there. So our job today is to make sure that those people that are considering viewing are viewing our stock, our properties, and getting our clients moved. Let's look at the headlines for today. The first one comes from the Telegraph. They've got a very good property section. I always remember years ago, this woman I met said to me, she was a very, very clever lady. And I said to her, wow, what did you do in your life? It turned out she was an economist. And halfway through the conversation, she said to me, do you take the Telegraph, Mr. Hume? And it just made me laugh, that sentence. Do you read do you take the Telegraph? It's always stuck with me. But anyway, they do have an excellent property section, so I do recommend it to you if you want to have a read about property. Telegraph's always a good one to read. We always pick out the best headlines for you anyway, so alternatively, just tune into Ken at 10. We'll cover it for you. And the headline from them today is property buyers and sellers are facing the longest delays on record as the housing market slows to a crawl. Intense red tape, changes to tax, soaring demand, and side effects of extreme house price growth mean the process of buying a home has virtually ground to a halt. In February, the average home purchase took 135 days from instruction to completion. Now, that's a misleading figure because that's not actually my experience. That's a bit alarmist. So on this one, the Telegraph, I think you got your numbers wrong. Our experience at the moment is it is running about 3 months from the date of agreed sale. The reason that it takes 135 days is instruction to completion is quite a different thing, because if your agent gets the price of your home wrong and you mark it for the wrong figure, then you end up not selling in a reasonable length of time. And then while it gets the price gets ground down slowly, then eventually you do sell. That delays everything. So you need to get a bit of perspective on that. But anyway, it says that was the last time it was this slow was June 2020, and that was just after the lockdown. Since then, the average time between instruction and completion just jumped 48%. That means buyers have to wait an extra 6 weeks before they can move in. The process has failed to keep pace with demand, and incremental delays at each point have created a much bigger problem, says Landmark's Simon Brown. Well, I would echo that to some degree. And I actually think, we used to have a thing called a HIP, a Home Information Pack, which provided all the information that a seller needs prior to the actual conveyancing process. And that's the process when you've agreed a sale with your seller or buyer, and then the solicitors take over. And by providing this information in advance, it really could speed things up, as a theory. Of course, one of the biggest delays right now is mortgages and mortgage lenders, and that process could do with speeding up as well, but that's another story for another day. It's all about underwriters and busy workloads. Rates and inflation could dent property plans. This is from the FT. A poll for Market Financial Solutions says that homeowners and renters fear rising rates and high inflation will hurt their home ownership ambitions. The poll of more than 2,000 people saw 28% of renters say rising interest rates were damaging their chance of getting onto the ladder, while 19% said a higher base rate would damage their chance of affording their own mortgage payments. So a real mixed bag out there. 18% of people intend to buy a property in 2022, and 66% are worried that inflation will ruin their chances of doing so. Taylor Wimpey have shown their results, and they've more than doubled their profits from the previous year. Revenue seized over 53% in the year to December. Very, very strong recovery for them, which is hardly surprising given the popularity of new build. It really has gone through the roof. A lot more people are considering new build. Why? Well, one of the reasons is energy efficiency. Having an energy efficient property can really save you on fuel bills, and we're all worried about those right now, aren't we? Kensington and Chelsea plans a crackdown on mega mansion conversions. These are the iceberg basements. If you're not familiar with iceberg basements, Google it and have a look. There are some incredible ones in Kensington and Chelsea where literally what you see below ground is bigger than what you see above, hence the term iceberg. And massive, massive great conversions under the ground that you wouldn't even know existed, that include things like pools, luxury spas, saunas, kitchen diners, all sorts of things, but well worth a look. And what they're trying to do is clamp down on that, because it is causing a problem, they're saying, for people to find and build homes, because what's happening is a lot of the millionaires, they're combining mansions to make mega mansions. I mean, if a mansion's not big enough, it's all about the prestige. So no doubt they're going to clamp down on that big time, and a good thing too, I think. Families face paying more for energy than for mortgages is an interesting one, and it does highlight the energy crisis very much so. Homeowners are facing energy bills higher than their mortgages, it has been reported, as the cost of fuel soars. And this is an article from the Daily Telegraph again. Millions have been informed of massive increases to their gas and electric payments from April, when the cap on what firms are allowed to charge rises by 54%. It's awful, isn't it? Major providers, EDF, E.ON, British Gas and Bulb, have written to their customers with estimates of their new monthly payments, and many have told their bills will more than double overnight. The average interest-only borrower pays $3,840 in the last year, down from $4,220 in 2020. Meanwhile, the average fixed energy tariff is now $3,000 a year, and households must pay $2,790 for the cheapest deal, compared with $1,079 last year. That's a huge difference, isn't it? Absolutely massive. Apart from that, as far as the market's concerned, what's happening at the moment is there's still a lack of supply in the marketplace. There's not the usual influx of property coming to the market. We're doing quite well in terms of numbers of instructions we're getting as a company, but I think we're getting a larger slice of a smaller pie, if you will, because there's not many people out there. Actually, the people that we were hoping would sell this year, many are just sitting back and thinking, what should we do amongst the energy crisis? The war in Ukraine is playing on people's minds as well. And that ogre Putin and what he might do next, and whether that might lull us all into World War III. My advice, worry about what you can control. You can't control Putin. I wish we could. And therefore, don't worry about it. It just is. But something you can do is donate to the Red Cross Appeal in order to help the Ukrainian people. That's something you can do. You can have an impact on. And I'd be grateful if you did. And if you do, write a comment down to let us know you did, so we can encourage others to do the same. And like and share the video as always, please. And aside from that, hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend. Look after yourselves as always. And if you can, your family and friends. And we will see you on Monday morning with an update on how the property market's been over the weekend. Till then, stay safe and well. Ciao.